what's your Sandlot? Find your Sandlot. Like, we're here to support whatever passion you have. Throw your Sandlot hat on, get in the garage and start brewing beer, or whatever it is. If you're doing it at 4 a.m. before you go to your day job, like, that's your Sandlot, and we're here to support that.
Is there anybody there?
All right. Well, welcome everybody to yet another episode of the Dad Hat Chronicles. My name is Ed, also known as the Dad Hat. With me, I am flying solo tonight. My co-host Val is not with us, but it's cool, no big deal. Because I'm very excited for this, guys. I have someone whose company I follow a lot, and whose company I have given a lot of money to. Thomas, how you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great. Excited to be here. Appreciate you giving me the time.
Absolutely. No, thank you first of all, for allowing, giving some time, taking out a little bit of time out of your family time. I get that. So I do appreciate that. So guys, if you didn't know, Thomas, I want to make sure that I got that. You're the CEO of Sandlot Goods. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm sitting as a CEO right now. And our founder, his name's Chad Hickman. And so he can't be on tonight, but he trusts me with the story of Sandlot, and I'm pretty ingrained in our story and how he started. So lots goes to him. I'll give him the credit where he needs it. But yeah, I'm currently sitting as our CEO.
I love it. All right. So, but before we get into Sandlot Goods, I want to get to know a little bit about you. And a lot of people ask, right, what got you into sport? I'm going to ask you that, but also, like, why hats, right? Like, I mean, what is it that about hats and sporting that just got you interested in doing what you're doing?
Yeah. So it's a good place to start, because it kind of talks about how I got into the seat that I'm in. The company I started is actually called Made in Kansas City. So it's a local retail here in Kansas City. And it's exactly what it sounds like. We work with 200 plus local artists and makers, and we buy and sell their product. So we have 13 locations, cafes, 14 including our cafes, and we buy and sell local goods. So Sandlot Goods is one of the very first companies we interacted with. And this is back in 2015. So at that point, it was just Chad Hickman, our founder, and a few other team members, and they were making leather goods. Actually, we still make. If you're on our website, you can see our leather goods, our wallets, our journal covers, and they're all Yard Ball. Yeah, that one's been a lot of fun. We'll get to that. That's more recent, but started interacting with them, and we got to sit next to Chad for a long time. And in 2019, Made in KC got some ownership in Sandlot Goods, and it was one of the true Made in KC companies, meaning they're cutting and sewing and making the product in Kansas City, and that meant a lot to us. And so we got along well with Chad, and got some ownership in the company to try to help him grow it. So really, it was just more about Chad's vision and how we could truly make something here in the USA and manufacture it with hands and humans.
That's amazing. I love the fact I love that story, right? Like that it is made, here in the US. And then I made an unboxing video a while back, and I said, guys, they make it here. They make it, as a matter of fact, they make it in Kansas City. You guys got to go support it. Like, it's not that expensive, right? And I love their hats, by the way. We'll get into that, obviously. So you bought a stake into Sandlot Goods, so what inspired you? Like, what is it about that like really gave you the inspiration to say, you know what, this is a company that I want to invest my time and money, obviously, that going forward?
Yeah, for me, I'm just very long-term oriented. I'm not the kind of entrepreneur that wants to start something just to sell it and go to the next. I want to have, I always talk about building a company that people want to buy, but mainly that I want to be part of, because probably no one's going to want to buy it. And I just want a place that I want to go work every day. And so the manufacturing piece of what Chad was doing, and the cutting and sewing, and the machinery, it just had more meat to it, more meaning to it, something that you could go to every day and problem solve and be part of, and have a kind of a purpose that people understood. We want to make things. We want to make high quality things. One of the early sayings of Sandlot Goods was products that you're going to hand down to the next generation. And so that's a goal for us. But we also want to make it approachable. We're not trying to make $100 hats. We're not trying to make something that's super luxury. We're trying to be competitive, and someone like you that wants to buy 6 of our hats, that's what I want. Somebody that's just a hyper fan and um, obtain our products.
So and I'm sure you know this, so I'm gonna ask. So why the name Sandlot Goods?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stories, and there's a marketing campaign that I really want to get to at some point, but I want to do it right. That talks about this, but and Chad would be okay with me sharing this, but he had a brother pass away, and after that, as you would imagine, it kind of shook him up and kind of reoriented what his priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
Always been a baseball fan, and he essentially sat down and was like, if you go back to the movie, which a lot of people think about, it's those kids had a place that they went to every day uh, to not just have fun, not just to chill, but to get better. They went to this place every day to work their asses off and get better at the thing that they loved. And he kind of every day is like, that's where I want to go to work. I want to go somewhere that I just want to improve and work and get better and have fun while I'm doing it. Cause that was a key part of what those kids did in the Sandlot. So that's what he went for. And so for us now, it's kind of like we pass this around inside, and the marketing thing I want to do is what's your Sandlot? Find your Sandlot. Like, we're here to support whatever passion you have. Throw your Sandlot hat on, get in the garage and start brewing beer or whatever it is. If you're doing it at 4 a.m. before you go do your day job, like, that's your Sandlot, and we're here to support that. So, I've never been, I can't cut and sew hats myself. I'm just a huge fan of our team that can do it. And I'm passionate for Chad about what we're trying to build. But yeah, I truly believe we found our Sandlot, and we're trying to make that show through our products.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Finding your own Sandlot. I never really had anybody really put it that way. It's like, what's your Sandlot? And oh man, you're going to have some fun with that marketing.
Yeah. No, it's great. We're going to do some videos with it. I mean, I would imagine this podcast is one of your Sandlots. And
100%.
There's just so many ways to get after it. And we're lucky that, it's how we make a living, and that's the ultimate goal, right? But it doesn't have to be that. It can be something, like I said, you do at 8 o'clock when your kids go to bed, and 2 hours just melt away like that. And and if you don't have it, that's okay. You can find it. And we're here for that.
And it's never too late, right? That's the whole thing. It's like, it's never too late to find your Sandlot. And you're right, though, by the way, like doing the late nights, that's usually like Sunday nights. I'm usually here in my office and my daughter's sleeping. My wife is doing her own thing and I'm here editing and putting an episode out. But it's a lot of fun, though, right? Because
awesome.
No one is going to do it for me. So I have to do it myself. So
very cool.
I like that. So what makes Sandlot such a unique, different company than the rest of the other hat companies? Because obviously there's a lot, right? Like, there's the New Eras, there's the 47s, there's a bunch of them out there. So like, what makes you guys so unique in a way and that sets you guys apart?
I mean, the obvious one is being manufactured in the USA. There's only a handful of us. We're definitely not the only ones doing it. I never claim that we are. I'm not sure how many people are doing it the way we're doing it or at the scale we're doing it. But it's that. And I think if you ever get a chance to come into our factory, it's going to be hard to explain, but that's what makes us different. I think you'll walk in there, and the biggest thing I wanted to do when I got to Sandlot Goods was kind of shake off all the ways people thought about manufacturing and sewing and make this place that you walk into. And it's a story I like to tell. I had this guy that was trying to sell us cleaning services or something. I forget what it was, but he came into the factory and he had a box of donuts, and we were having fun that day. I forget what was going on, but we were making hats. You could see the machinery going, but I think it was someone's birthday or something. So we had a celebration, and he just kind of looked at me. He goes, "This place has some good vibes." I was like, there's not many manufacturing places you walk into where the guy delivering donuts tells you got good vibes. And I think that's what it is. We're trying to really, like I said, I want a place I want to be every day. I'm not trying to figure out how to make the most money off of every single hat that comes off the line. Making money is super important, but we're trying to make
if anybody tells you that like they're not in it and they're not want to be profitable, run away, because they're lying to you.
Cash is oxygen, that's for sure. But we have a team and we stick to our core values really, really aggressively. And if you don't fit them, I don't want you to be there, because it's not going to be good for you long term. And so long answer, but I think what makes us different is a lot of things about quality and attention to detail, but really it's the group that's making your hat. It's a cool place to be, and keep trying to make it cooler.
Speaking of the process, right? Because obviously you have your process. Walk me through the process of crafting, like let's say, because I'm currently wearing one of your Negro Leagues hat, and which, well, by the way, I want to get into so bad right now. I want to talk about this, but I'm wearing your Santurce hat, right? And the material is different. The way that you guys are manufacturing, that you guys are making these hats, and you said they're made by hand, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
So what is that process of crafting a hat?
yeah. I think that's one of the coolest things. We tell people we're a hat manufacturer, and not until they get into our space do they see rolls of fabric coming off the shelf and scissors coming out to cut. They're like, "Oh, you actually make the hats," and that's the thing. We don't just get blank hats and decorate them, right? We're cutting hats down from rolls of fabric. So we cut it down. We use different machineries, different cookie cutters. The hat you're wearing has got 6 panels if you count all the seams up top. And it's got 2 visor pieces, a brim in the middle, and an attachment on the back. And so it is I forget the exact number of steps, but 20 plus sewing steps that go into making a hat. It's a pretty complicated little product.
Oh my God.
Once you get down to it. But I'm very data obsessed. So we track every step of the process. And always tell my team it's not because we're trying to be big brother or watch and figure out I need to know how long it takes to make a hat so I can price a hat to make sure we get paid enough to be making that hat. So it's a multi-step process. We have several different sewing teams, lead-off team, crown team, post-bed team, and it turns slowly from a 2-dimensional product into a 3-dimensional product. We have a machine called a post-bed machine that kind of brings this post out of the base of the table to allow you to sew 3-dimensionally. Then you have to get the button put on, and then the very last, we do all our embroidery in house and everything like that. So one good opportunity to point out a cool, unique thing. So this is embroidered S, like the hat you're wearing.
Yeah.
So these front 2 panels will come to our embroidery team first. This is something you can't do unless you manufacture your own hats. We'll embroider on just this front panel, and then this will go to the sewing team, which allows us to put this hair cloth on the back.
Yeah.
So usually if you see an embroidered hat, you'll have the strings poking out the back, and it's an unfinished look we're just used to. But this, you get to hide all that because we're manufacturing the hat. And so then the hat comes together after you embroider it. So,
well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So all said and done, 20 to 30 minutes to make a hat in our production process. We're making about 1,500 to 1,600 hats a week right now.
Look at that. I'm looking at another one, the Ethiopian clown, and it's like, you're right.
Yeah. So you'll occasionally, we make some blank hats when we have gaps in production. So we'll make a blank, and then what we need to decorate it with, we'll decorate it. And then in that case, we will have some embroidery that goes through the hair cloth. And if Chad listens to this, it's his least favorite thing, but it's a necessity to be efficient. So occasionally you'll get a hat or a sale hat from us that'll have that, but most of the time you'll have that hair cloth behind the embroidery.
Interesting. I like this. And by the way, listen, your guys are price point pretty good. I'll say that. That's a pretty, compared to a lot of the hats. Like, I mean, the hat game has grown so much, right? Yeah. I mean, you go to these events out there, right? Like, sporting events, and you see like so many people that are already designing and making their own hats and everything. And it's like a wild, wild world out there, man. Kudos to you guys that can do it. I know I could never do it, but that's amazing.
Thanks. It's cool. It's been fun. I mean, I'm a rising tide guy. The bigger the hat game, the better it is for us. I don't want people to not be doing it. I think companies like Melon and that are putting hats out that are pushing the price point up to $70 for a dad hat, and it's a luxury hat. Just helps us be able to, we do make even our dad hat. That's less of a a unique custom looking thing. But it's the highest quality dad hat you're going to get. It's one of the most comfortable dad hats you're going to get. And I have no problem. I think it should be worth more than $40 a hat, but I want, like I said, I want people to be able to get our hats.
Appreciate it. Yeah, at the same time. By the way, I also have one of your dad hats. I have the shuttlecock one.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
Yeah. Super comfortable. My God.
Great. Yeah, that's the shuttlecock's a Kansas City mark because of the Nelson Art Gallery down here. So
I have it. So see, again, I mean, you guys are taking a lot of my money. We'll continue to do so. So, all right. So you got the process, but what are the materials? Because obviously you spend a lot of time looking at materials there,
Yep.
right? What are your most biggest materials that you guys use when it comes to making these hats?
So the materials is the biggest part of making sure that we have something that feels good, has the right weight, and lasts. So that's what starts with. The simplest part is getting a good roll of fabric in the building. The hat that you're wearing and the hat material that I would say is that we're most known for is our duck canvas. So
Yeah.
um, you think of like a Carhartt type material. It's got some texture to it. It's a little bit thicker, extremely durable. I mean, I've run into some guys in Kansas City that are wearing a duck hat that has just been beat to absolute shit. It's got grease on it, and they're like, "Yeah, my wife wants me to get a new one, but I just love it too much." And so it's cool to see. It wears really well.
Yeah.
It's just got a good structure to it, and to be honest, it's a pretty good breathable material too. So even in the summer, it's got some thickness to it, but compared to our wools and stuff, it's a good summer material. So
yeah, you can definitely tell a wool from a duck, duck cotton for sure.
yeah, and I'm wearing a cord hat right now. It's kind of hard to tell, but
Yeah.
we're doing a lot more with different corduroys, 8 whale, 14 whale. So it's definitely an area where we experiment, try new things, but the duck canvas is our go-to. And then we'll just do a decent amount of some cotton on our dad hats, but we make sure it's a good, high quality material that doesn't have any imperfections in it.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it, I'm like, oh man, this thing is it's pretty legit. So
Yeah.
you have your quality control, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
how is that? Because I've always wanted to ask this, by the way. Like, how do you guys go through the quality process of like making sure that it is exactly how it is that you guys want it?
Yeah. So it's an area that is the most challenging part of what we do as a manufacturer.
Okay.
And I'd say Chad, our founder, will fail a hat and he'll hand a hat to me, and I'll be like, I don't see anything wrong with this hat. I
Yeah.
can't find it. It's just different levels, and so it's really healthy. But we will butt heads, and I'll be like, man, that's not a hat that we can afford to fail, because I can give this hat to 100 people, and 99 of them aren't going to find a defect in it.
Correct.
Like the eyelet's a little off center or something, And so he has an extreme high level, which is so good for us. And then I got to talk him down to earth sometimes about what it means to exist. And so it's very subjective, right? I mean, we're back and forth on things like that, but really it comes down to the quality of our sewers. They're so talented. They know what to look for. And we're asking, we need high numbers, we need high volume, but also don't do bad work. And so it's this balance that they need
Just
to
having
strike.
that balance. Yeah.
And they're so good at it. They're so talented. And so they'll find imperfections for us in the process. So overall, just having an eye of quality. We have a big quality control dashboard on our wall that shows our percentage. It's in the 90s right now. It's gotten as low as the 70s, and we have some defects. And everyone sees that big red number up there, and it's like, all right, let's slow down, let's focus. Like,
yeah,
1,000 hats that we fail is worse than 10 hats that we pass. So, but again, we pride ourselves. Pride in work is one of our 5 core values, and if you sew a stitch, like I said, there's so many pieces and so many people working on it. If you do a bad seam, and if you hand that hat on to the next person, they're going to have to try and figure out making the hat, and it just gets pushed down the line. We're all about raising your hand if you found a mistake, and I'd rather throw out 2 pieces of a hat than an entire hat at the end of the line. So,
whew.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you're talking about, obviously you're data driven, right? So there's different data points. It's like, do I want to fill the whole thing? I mean, that's money already that we've already invested. We paid somebody to make this, and we already spent money on the material that we don't want to fill it at, right away.
And it's being transparent. We're working on a custom project for a client, and you got the wrong color stitching from what we said originally. We're not just going to ship the hat and say, hope they don't see it. Let's get on the phone, get on a video, be like, hey, we have crazy high standards. Here's where your hat's at. Let us know what you want to do. Just have the conversation with people. And usually they'll laugh and be like, it's fine. We didn't know that we were using that color thread or something along those lines, right? We'll always find that our standard's higher than others, which is where it needs to be. But we'll still send out a hat that someone gets in the mail and they find an imperfection, and that's a dagger. We don't want those hats leaving our building, but we are human. We are making a lot of hats, and so we'll always own it, and make sure that people are happy with their product.
Which is going to ask you on that, and you gave me the right segue for this. Is do you work with other creators or companies that you make them custom pieces
Yeah.
for them?
Yeah. So right now we do, I'd say 4 main categories of sales. So we'll do direct to consumer. So that's our website. That's our brick and mortar. We'll do wholesale sales. So that's hats like you're wearing and I'm wearing that we make as a Sandlot product that we then sell to other people to sell in their stores. So that's our wholesale game. And then we'll do volume end user. And so that is a company here in KC wants to custom make 100 hats for their employees as gifts. So we'll work with them to design a hat that's special to their company, 10th year anniversary, 100 year anniversary, whatever it is. We'll make that hat for them and sell it as that product. And then some people are retailers that want a custom hat that has their brand on it. So I'd say the one example is we made the New Heights hats for the Kelsey brothers. The green New Heights hat, Taylor Swift wore one to a concert. And 3 days later, they've ordered 6,000 of that hat for us to make to start fulfilling orders for them because demand is skyrocketed. And so that's not.
I don't know why.
Yeah. It was wild. Our team was very tired of making those hats, but it was definitely a blessing. So we
absolutely.
Yeah. So we do all of that.
Well, fun fact: the Kelsey brothers and I share one thing in common.
Podcast?
No, we went to the same high school.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yep. We graduated from Cleveland Heights.
That's amazing.
Yes, sir. I live in North Carolina, but from Cleveland.
Gotcha. All right. That's a cool note.
There you go. See? Like I said, usually on my videos, because it's the more you know. So there you go.
The more you know.
And yes, in podcasts as well. But theirs is a little bit more up there. But this cool. I mean, good for them. They know what they're doing. I mean,
it's a good show. Yeah,
it is a good show. It's hilarious. So speaking of the hat, right? Because obviously you make those. But have you ever thought about doing like limited? Do you do limited edition hats? Like, it's like, oh, we only making 100 of these, and then this is it. We're not making any more. We'll make maybe later on. We'll make another batch.
Yeah, it's almost like I planted that question for you to help us push this. So this year we're planning on doing 4 or 5 LPRs, limited product releases. So we've done a couple in the past, but we really think it's something fun to do. And it's a good way for us to get creative and find limited materials. So that's going to be the driving factor is Chad is really good at sourcing cool fabrics. So he'll find something that's a raw denim that, was made in the 50s and there's only X amount of it. And we got enough of it to cut down and make 50 hats. And so that'll be what drives it. And we'll do 4 or 5 of those this year. And I think quantities, again, it'll all be dependent on how much material is out there. Cause I truly want it to be limited. I don't want it to be something that we just, we only make 50. So there's only 50. So we could have made 100 if we wanted to. Like this is it. This fabric's not out there. It's old. You can't get it again. So we made, 29 hats or whatever it is. And then we'll launch a limited product release for that. So that's something we want to roll out in 25.
It'll be, and if I can ask, right, would it be sports related? Would it be anything specific to Kansas City?
Probably not specific to Kansas City. We're really trying to, we love Kansas City and Kansas City is good to us, but we want to make sure that
you spread the love.
We're a national brand, spread the love. Yeah. So the LPRs we've done in the past, I think have been blanks in terms of if it's a wool hat that doesn't have a logo on it, or if we do something, we might do a small SG for Sandlot Goods on it. But I don't know. I will be the first to admit that my creativity is a fraction of everybody else's in the building. So we'll see what Chad comes up with, but it'll all be kind of what presents itself and what fabrics are out there, and if there's something to be excited about.
That's going to be cool. I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. In your opinion, and obviously you've had this conversation with Chad, like how has the demand for like high quality material hats, how has that changed, right? Because the 80s and 90s, they weren't so good to the hat community, but like when it comes to materials, so like that has evolved so much, now in 2025.
Yeah, it's evolved a ton. I think Chad would be a better person on the hat specifically. To me, it's just the consumer is demanding of more quality
Mhm.
product, in general. I think there's been this shift of mass produced, wear it once or twice, and that's still out there, and it's as big as ever. I know it's as big as ever, but because of that, and because there is enough knowledge and noise around how that's not a good thing in a lot of ways, there is this kind of slow down culture of, maybe I don't want a $20 pair of jeans. Maybe I do want a $200 pair of jeans that I'll have forever. And that bleeds into almost anything. And so I think, again, our hats are going to last.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
around forever. I've washed and dried them. You can do whatever you want with them. And so for us, that there's a world of opportunity. It's not something I worry about, that we're making too high quality of a product for people
Mhm.
to get. We want to make it not this bespoke, we make 3 a week type of thing. We want it to be quality for the masses. But to your point, it is something that we couldn't be doing probably 10, 15, 20 years ago.
I listen. I have a good friend of mine, Patrick, who has a lot of hats, right? And he's one of those. I was like, he'll wear them, but it's only one, maybe once a year kind of deal.
Yeah.
I'm more of the, I want a good quality hat that I can wear every day. That's like, they're, for me, hats are meant to be worn.
Yeah.
Use and abuse them, and then I think the wear and tear is what makes the character of that hat. Because
Mhm.
then it makes it yours
Yeah.
at that point.
And that's where our brand's at. I mean, I think we did, like, if Sandlot was a commercial, and it'd be picking up a hat out of the dirt and
Mhm.
hitting it on your jeans and throwing it back on and wiping your brow type of stuff. And I love the idea that some people think our hats are those kinds of pieces that they want to keep pristine and wear, for a few minutes. That's great. I have no problem with that. But I also want to make sure that same hat, if someone wants to wear it every day all summer long, is still standing up strong by the end of the summer. So that's where our goal is, and then however people want to use it, no judgment on my end.
Hey, as long as exactly. Let's
Yeah.
get the hat, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your culture and all that. Like, what's your philosophy? As a CEO, like right now, is running Sandlot Goods. I mean, you have your own philosophy. You came in, and I'm sure you came in and you're like, all right, let's observe and this going on, and then build the philosophy. How that process, and what's your philosophy right now with that?
The best way to put it for me is just being culture first. When I came in, there was a lot of good things happening at Sandlot,
Mhm.
but there was a lot of things that weren't great. I think the culture needed a big reboot, and I knew I couldn't do that. I mean, me coming in as an outsider, not knowing how to make a hat, it was an uphill battle for me to sit down with these team members and make them think that I wasn't in there just to clean house. And so I read a lot of business books, and I can be
Mhm.
Chad and I will both always say this. I can be the sucker if I'm whatever the book I read last is what I'm talking about the most. But we use a bunch of different processes for managing,
Yeah.
a lot of goals, a lot of scorecards, a lot of dashboards. But the most valuable asset we have by far is our core values. And that's a cliche. You hear it a lot from people, but it is also amazing that you talk to some business owners like, yeah, we haven't really got that going yet. I'm like, it's just wild.
Why haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. Like, what are you waiting on? And the cool part is, if Chad and I were kind of reflecting the other week about our turnover rate has just plummeted. Like, we have people that are coming in and they're doing great and they're sticking around. And when we do an interview, it is, here's our core values. How do you feel about them? Which one stands out the most to you? One of our core values is positivity. It's just as simple as that. It's positivity. And if
Oof.
you're and it's probably the easiest core value you can have to judge someone quickly in an interview. Like, I can tell if you're a positive person. I can tell this pretty quickly. The other ones are a little bit harder to eke out. But if you're sitting in there just complaining to me about your last job, your whole interview, I'm here to listen, but you're not a positive person, and it's not going to be a good fit for you. And so,
We're gonna move on.
yeah, and I think it feels a little cutthroat, but at the same time, it's for both of us. It's for Sandlot as a company and you as a person. I don't want to waste 6 months of your time, and then we all find out it's a bad fit and you move
Yep.
on. And so, uh, it's not much of a philosophy, I realize, but if I could give advice to anybody trying to do something, they don't have core values in place, start there, because that'll set everything up.
And it's just snowballs from there after that.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
So you talking about your core values, right? You're fostering positivity, but also you talked about creativity, right, and innovation, and how is that uh, being fostered every day when you come into to the job?
I think I think it's honestly an area that we can improve on.
Mhm.
Just because, and I say that because everyone in our building is so creative. We attract and we keep very creative, talented individuals. People that graduated art school come to us. People that have side gigs at home, they'll sew all day with us and they'll go home and keep sewing. We have people that just are extremely talented. I do check-ins with every team member 3 or 4 times a year, and just the feedback we get on things. And it's not even just like cool designs or ideas; it's creativity in our process. Um, just 2 weeks ago, we had somebody who had an idea about one of the stitches we do on a machine that we don't have a whole lot of. She's like, "Well, why don't we do that same stitch on our single needle?" And it was just like, give it a shot, and it worked, and our production went up that day. Like it was just that impactful. And so uh, I think the best thing that we do is um, one of our core values is smart work, and it's just like if you have an idea, I'm all for it. Let's hear it. We're going to try it. We're going to do it. And if it fails, we'll go back. And if it doesn't, we'll keep moving forward. And so I think it's something we need to improve on. But being an environment that asks for that creativity to come out of people
Mhm.
is the way you're going to really tap into it.
That's
Now
awesome.
you have to have the kind of culture that if it's an idea that they're super stoked about and it doesn't fit or it's not a good idea, like you have to be comfortable with not everything being an idea we do. But that's part of the culture too. So
Right. I was like, listen, good idea. I just don't know if that's something that's gonna be for us.
right.
Having the comfort level to say that right there. I was like,
Right.
it's like I appreciate you. Thank you for bringing this to us. I just don't know if it's gonna be something that we're gonna be able to move on forward with.
And keep them coming though. Like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that does not mean you stop. That just means that idea didn't work this time.
yeah. So, and that takes maturity and trust, and that comes with people being in the building for long enough.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Sandlot Goods, CEO Sandlot Goods. Guys, do me a favor before you get out of here, before you start listening to another podcast, do me a favor. Go to their website, check out their merchandise, okay? Specifically, the Negro Leagues partnership that they have. I have like 6 or 7 of them. I'm not kidding. I also bought a CLE one. I bought this one. It's one of my running hats. It's one of the hats that I wear constantly. And you guys are not going to regret it, okay? Now, after you do that, make sure you guys go and subscribe, hit the like button, share this with somebody else, okay? And then also, if you're watching the video, thank you. Give it a thumbs up, okay, guys? And we'll see you guys in the next one.